The boardroom was in absolute silence, all eyes fixed on her. Leonard Briggs, the CEO, had a face red with rage. His voice echoed through the room as he pointed his finger at the black woman in a blue uniform, holding a cleaning rag in her hands. "Did you hear what I said? Cleaner? You don't belong here. Get out now before I call security." The investors around the table looked embarrassed. Some looked away, others whispered among themselves, but she remained standing there with a calmness that irritated Leonard even more. "Mr. Briggs," she said with a firm voice. "I need to speak with you." Leonard let out a bitter laugh. "Speak? You? A cleaner wants to speak with me in the middle of a meeting with investors?" He looked at the men and women around the table, seeking complicity. "Are you seeing the level of disrespect I have to deal with here?" Teresa took a deep breath. Her eyes scanned every face in that room. She knew exactly who those people were. She knew every number, every contract, every wrong decision that had been made in the last few months, but it was not yet time. "I apologize, sir, I am leaving now." She turned her back and walked out of the room, hearing Leonard's scornful laughter echo down the hallway. But what Leonard Briggs did not know was that this humiliation had begun exactly 72 hours earlier, and it was all part of a much bigger plan. 3 days earlier, Teresa Montero parked her modest car 2 blocks away from the glass building of Montero and Associates. She looked at the building that her family had built from the ground up, 40 years of history. Her father started with 3 employees in a rented office. Today, there were 250 employees and a revenue of millions per year. Teresa had inherited the company 6 months ago when her father passed away. But she had lived abroad for years, running other family operations. She entrusted the management to CEO Leonard Briggs, recommended by renowned consultants, a man with an impeccable resume, an MBA from the United States, and stints at large corporations. The first few months seemed promising, nice reports, numbers that made sense on paper, until the emails started arriving. Long time, trusted employees reported alarming situations, a climate of fear, disorganization, waste of resources, and important clients leaving the company. Teresa asked Leonard for an explanation via video conference. He always had an elegant justification, blaming the incompetent team he had inherited, but the complaints did not stop, and the real numbers, when she investigated externally, told another story. That was when she decided to return to the US and see everything with her own eyes, but not as the owner. She would be invisible. She would be the one no one pays attention to, a cleaner. Teresa entered the building at 6 a.m. that Monday. A simple blue uniform, hair pulled back in a bun, a fake badge that a loyal employee had provided. The name on the badge read Teresa Silva, no Montero surname, no obvious connection. The HR manager, Sonia, was in on the scheme. She was one of the old, trusted employees of Teresa's father. Only she knew the truth. "Are you sure about this?" Sonia had asked 3 days earlier when Teresa explained the plan. "This could be very difficult for you." "I need to see the truth," Teresa replied. "I need to know what really happens when no one is looking." Now, on her first day, Teresa pushed the cleaning cart down the 8th-floor corridor. The smell of cleaning products was strong. Her hands, accustomed to signing contracts and typing on state-of-the-art computers, now held rags and brooms. She was wiping the reception windows when she heard firm footsteps. She turned and saw Leonard Briggs in person for the first time. Tall, impeccable gray suit, gray hair slicked back, an air of superiority in every movement. He walked past her as if she were part of the furniture. No glance, no "good morning." He simply ignored her existence. "Good morning, sir," Teresa said, testing him. Leonard stopped, turned slowly, and looked her up and down with an expression of annoyance. "Since when do cleaners greet me?" Teresa felt her blood boil but kept a neutral expression. "Sorry, sir, I was just being polite." "Be polite by working and not getting in the way," he said harshly. And why are you cleaning the window now? The workday hasn't even started. Don't you have anything to do? I'm getting ahead of the work, sir. Getting ahead, he repeated with sarcasm. Do your work on time, and when I pass, stay quiet. I don't need small talk with cleaning staff. He proceeded to the elevator. Teresa squeezed the rag in her hands and took a deep breath. The receptionist, Amanda, a young woman with wide eyes, looked at Teresa with pity. Don't take it personally, Amanda whispered. He's like that with everyone, especially those he thinks are beneath him. Beneath him, Teresa repeated mentally. The day continued. Teresa cleaned bathrooms, emptied trash cans, mopped corridors, and observed. She observed everything. She saw Leonard yell at the sales team because a goal was missed. She saw him throw a folder of documents on the floor and tell his assistant, Carla, to pick up everything, sheet by sheet, while he stood with his arms crossed, watching. She saw him walk into a meeting room and interrupt a manager's presentation, saying in front of everyone, "This is ridiculous. You had a week to prepare and you bring me this garbage." The manager, a man in his 40s named Paul, turned red, stammered, and tried to explain. Leonard simply walked out of the room, leaving everyone in awkward silence. Teresa was cleaning the adjacent room and heard everything. Her heart ached. Those people worked hard. She knew Paul's history, 15 years with the company, one of the best in the commercial area, and now being publicly humiliated. At the end of the day, Teresa put away her cleaning supplies in the basement storage room. Her back hurt, her knees hurt. She was not used to heavy physical labor, but the physical pain was nothing compared to the growing revolt she felt inside her. Sonia appeared in the storage room, looked around to make sure they were alone. So? She asked in a low voice. Worse than I imagined, Teresa replied. He's not just incompetent, he's cruel. Are you going to be able to continue? Teresa looked at her own hands. They were rough, red from contact with cleaning products. I will, she said with determination. I need to see everything. I need to understand the extent of the problem. I need concrete proof. How long do you plan to stay undercover? As long as it takes. Sonia nodded. I'll keep covering for you. But be careful, Teresa. Leonard is dangerous when he feels threatened. He doesn't even know I exist, Teresa said. To him, I'm invisible. And it's exactly this invisibility that will give me the power to see the whole truth. Teresa left the building at 6 p.m. amidst the other employees. No one looked at her, no one knew her. She was just one more among many. One more person who kept that place functioning behind the scenes. But as she walked to her car, Teresa made a silent promise. When the time was right, when she had all the necessary proof, Leonard Briggs would find out who the woman he treated as nothing really was. And that day was coming sooner than he imagined. The second week revealed deeper layers of the chaos Leonard was creating. On Tuesday, Teresa was cleaning the break room when she overheard Julianne and Charles talking in low, nervous voices. We lost the Almeida account yesterday, Julianne was saying. 3 years of partnership went straight to the competitor. Why? Leonard delayed the project delivery twice. When the client complained, he said the problem was the technical team's incompetence, in front of the client. Charles shook his head in disbelief. And Petrocorp, the same thing. Leonard showed up visibly unprepared and out of line. He made inappropriate jokes with their executive. They didn't renew the contract. Teresa cleaned slowly, every word cutting like a knife. These were not just internal humiliations. Leonard was destroying business relationships built over years. On Wednesday, something different. Teresa found Beatrice, the HR manager, crying in the women's restroom. The woman did not notice the cleaner in the corner, organizing cleaning supplies. Hello, Mom, Beatrice was speaking on the phone, her voice broken. No, I'm not well. Today he offended me in front of 6 people. He said I couldn't do the basics of the basics. A pause. Beatrice cried. Mom, I have a master's in human resources, 15 years of experience in the field, and he treated me like I was an incompetent intern. Another longer pause. I can't leave now. You know I can't. I need the money. Julia is starting college next year. The tuition is expensive. I'll bear it. I have to bear it. Teresa felt a deep ache in her chest. Beatrice was not just a professional being humiliated. She was a single mother, fighting to give her daughter a future, trapped in a cycle of abuse because she had no choice. On Thursday, Teresa witnessed something that changed everything. She was cleaning the 9th floor hallway when she heard shouting coming from Leonard's office. You are incompetent. Incompetent? Do you understand what that means, or do I need to draw you a picture? It was Paul, the commercial manager. Teresa knew his numbers. He was responsible for 40% of the company's revenue. The door opened abruptly. Paul walked out, face red, hands shaking. He walked right past Teresa without seeing her and entered the men's restroom. Teresa waited a moment, then approached the restroom door. She heard a muffled sob coming from inside. Paul, she risked, knocking gently. It's the cleaner. Are you all right, sir? Can I help with anything? Tense silence. Then, a choked voice. No one can help. He's ruined my career. He's ruined everything. What happened? The stall door opened. Paul had red eyes, his face wet with tears. 15 years here. 15 years. I built 40% of this company's revenue. I brought in the biggest clients, and today he called me into his office and said I'm dead weight, that any intern does my job better. Paul sobbed, unable to stop. I have 2 children in private school, a financed house. My wife doesn't work because she takes care of my mother who has Alzheimer's. How do I leave here? How? Teresa felt her own tears threatening. You won't leave. You are valuable. He's the one who doesn't see it. How can you know? You're just. Paul stopped, realizing what he was about to say. Embarrassed. I'm just the cleaner, Teresa finished without bitterness, but I see a lot, and I see that you are respected by everyone here, except by the one who should respect you the most. Paul looked at the woman in the blue uniform with genuine gratitude. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for caring. Hold on tight. I promise things will change, Teresa said with a certainty she was still building. Just hold on a little longer. On Friday, Teresa had her major discovery. She was cleaning the boardroom when she found a forgotten folder of documents on the table. Confidential financial reports. Her heart raced. The numbers screamed alarming truths. Revenue down 23% in just 6 months. 3 major clients lost, Almeida, Petrocorp, and Silva and Brothers. Operational costs inflated 40% without clear justification. Contract signed with overpriced suppliers, values 30% above market, unnecessary equipment purchased without board approval. And the worst, a separate spreadsheet showing Leonard's personal expenses being paid by the company. Luxury restaurants, $15,000 in personal dinners alone in the last 3 months, private travel, $40,000 in tickets and hotels for tourist destinations, and an imported car, $180,000 registered in his name, fully paid by the company without contractual authorization. Teresa photographed every page, her hands trembling with rage and adrenaline. She checked each photo to ensure it was legible. She placed the documents exactly in the position she found them. She sent everything to her encrypted personal email. In the storage room, at the end of the workday, Sonia appeared. By your face, something big happened. Teresa showed her the photos on her cell phone. Sonia went pale. This is this is extremely serious. I know. Do you have enough proof now to remove him immediately? Almost. The numbers prove administrative incompetence, the photos prove misappropriation of funds, but I need something more. More, Teresa? This is all ready. I need him to completely give himself away, not just in documents, but in front of witnesses that truly matter, board members, investors. Sonia understood. You want him to show who he really is in front of those who have the power to remove him. Exactly. I want them to see the Leonard I saw this week, the man who destroys people, the uncontrolled ego, the incompetence disguised as firmness. He will do it. His ego won't allow otherwise. He's going to explode. That night, driving home alone, Teresa almost gave up. Every muscle in her body ached. Every humiliation witnessed weighed like a stone in her chest. Every tear seen from Beatrice, from Paul, from so many others, cut her soul. It would be so much easier to simply reveal herself tomorrow, show the proof, convene the board, and end it all at once. But then the faces returned to her mind. Beatrice, trapped by the need to pay for her daughter's college. Paul, destroyed, with 15 years of dedication thrown away as if they were worthless. Julianne whispering about clients lost due to incompetence. Amanda, afraid to speak. Ryan, humiliated for asking for help. They deserved more than a simple firing of Leonard. They deserved to see justice happen. They deserved to see that no one, no matter how powerful they thought they were, was above the consequences of their actions. The storm was brewing, and Leonard Briggs had no idea of the hurricane that was about to crash over his head. The third week brought the moment Teresa had been waiting for. Monday, 9 a.m., an email arrived for all employees. Leonard had called an emergency general meeting, subject, urgent company restructuring. Teresa read the email and knew. It was now. Leonard was going to explode publicly, he was going to give himself away in front of everyone. His ego wouldn't allow otherwise. The auditorium filled up in minutes. 250 employees squeezed into chairs, tense faces, nervous whispers filling every inch of the space. Teresa entered through the side door with her cleaning cart, positioning herself in the back corner near the wall, invisible, as always. Leonard walked onto the stage without slides, without a prepared presentation, with nothing but his own inflated ego and the certainty that he was in absolute control. I will be extremely direct because I don't like to waste my precious time. He began, his voice already laden with a tone of superiority. This company is failing miserably. And do you know why? Because of you, every single one of you here. The silence that fell over the auditorium was heavy as lead. I was hired 6 months ago with one clear objective, to save this company from the chronic mediocrity in which it found itself, to transform, modernize, elevate the standard. But I cannot work miracles alone when I have a team that simply does not deliver anything expected. Julianne, sitting in the third row, stared intently at the floor. Paul's fists were clenched on his legs. Beatrice took deep breaths, trying to control herself not to cry again. For this reason, Leonard continued, walking back and forth across the stage, as if he owned the world, we will make immediate and non-negotiable structural adjustments. First point, the privileges you were accustomed to are over. Extended holidays, over. Long weekends, over. Work from home, over. Flexible hours, over. Here, you either work for real or you look for another place that accepts mediocrity. Murmurs began to spread through the audience like waves. Teresa observed every reaction, every expression of incredulity and contained revolt. Second point, and pay close attention to this. Leonard raised an emphatic finger, bonuses are indefinitely suspended. When, and if, you prove to me through concrete results that you deserve them, then we can discuss eventually bringing them back. Claudia, from the project's area, raised her hand with courage, her voice trembling but firm. But, Mr. Briggs, with all due respect, the bonus is expressly provided for in our employment contracts. It is part of our officially agreed-upon compensation. Leonard looked at her with such visceral contempt that it seemed physical. Bonus, my dear, is for those who demonstrate exceptional performance. And honestly, I have seen absolutely no performance here that justifies paying a single extra cent to anyone. But our team closed the Almeida project 3 weeks ahead of schedule, Claudia insisted, gaining more courage. We hit 110% of the goals for the last quarter. We have the documented numbers. You hit the goals that you, with your limited vision, consider difficult, Leonard retorted with cutting sarcasm. I have commanded teams 10, 15 times better than this one, who did double, triple the work with half the resources available. So don't talk to me about goals as if they were some impressive achievement. Claudia sat down defeated, tears beginning to stream down her face. Other employees looked at her with pity and solidarity, but no one dared to move or speak. Teresa remained in the corner, mentally noting every word, every abuse, every demonstration of complete incompetence disguised as strong leadership. Third and final point of this meeting, Leonard announced as if he were doing a favor. We will conduct a general salary review. There are too many people here earning well above what the market pays to do completely mediocre and basic work. This distortion will be corrected in the next 30 days. It was at that moment that Marcus stood up from his chair, the company's most senior director, a serious and respected man who had worked directly with Teresa's father for over 10 years. What you have just announced is a clear threat of illegal salary reduction, Marcus said, his firm voice echoing throughout the auditorium. Leonard smiled. That poisonous, arrogant smile of someone who thinks they are in total control of the situation. Ah, Marcus. Always being the great advocate for the poor little things, aren't you? Always defending the complacent and unproductive. I am defending Brazilian labor law, and I am defending the basic dignity of these people who work here. Look, Leonard gave a fake laugh. It is not illegal reduction at all. It is simply a necessary and just adjustment to the current reality of the job market. Anyone who does not agree with the new terms knows perfectly well where the door is. You are all free to leave whenever you want. Marcus took a decisive step forward, walking down the central aisle. You are literally playing with the livelihood, with the survival of 250 entire families. Leonard, do you have any idea of the seriousness of this? I am saving this company. Leonard suddenly exploded, slamming his fist onto the wooden podium. While all of you sit here crying, complaining, creating resistance, I am having the courage to make the extremely difficult and unpopular decisions that none of you would ever have the courage or competence to make. Difficult decisions? Marcus climbed a few steps toward the stage, confronting him. Or completely incompetent decisions? The company's numbers don't lie, Leonard. Since the exact moment you took over this management, we have lost 3 of our largest and oldest clients. Revenue has plummeted almost 25% in just 6 months. Employee turnover has soared to levels never before seen. And you simply want to place all the blame on those who actually work and produce here? The entire auditorium held its breath collectively. It was the first time anyone had confronted Leonard so directly and publicly, putting on the table truths that everyone thought, but no one had the courage to speak. Leonard quickly descended from the stage, walked with firm steps until he was face to face with Marcus, aggressively invading his personal space. You are fired immediately. You can leave. The silence that followed was absolutely sepulchral. No one moved, no one breathed. Time seemed to have frozen. Marcus slowly and deliberately took the badge off his neck. He looked at it for a long second, then fixed his eyes on Leonard with a mixture of pity and contempt. Perfect. Great, even, because I'd much rather be unemployed on the street than continue to be complicit in this absolutely disastrous management that you have the audacity to call leadership. He threw the badge on the floor at Leonard's feet with a definitive gesture. 15 years dedicated to this company. I saw it born, saw it grow brick by brick. I saw George Montero, a real man, build every piece of this place with respect, integrity, and vision. And now I see you completely destroy all of that in just 6 months. Congratulations, Leonard. You really achieved the impossible, making every person in this auditorium deeply despise you. Marcus turned his back with dignity and began to walk towards the exit. The silence was so deep that every step he took echoed through the auditorium. He stopped at the door, turned one last time. And just so everyone knows, I will not keep quiet. I will go to the press, I will go to the union, I will go to all the competent authorities. This management will be investigated. The door slammed shut with a bang, the sound reverberating like a gunshot. No one moved for long seconds. Leonard returned to the stage, adjusted his suit with mechanical movements, ran his hand through his hair as if absolutely nothing had happened, as if he had not just fired the most respected and competent director in the entire company in front of all the employees. Does anyone else in this auditorium want to publicly challenge me? Does anyone else here think they know how to manage and lead better than me? No one moved. The fear was palpable, thick, suffocating. Perfect. Excellent. Now everyone return immediately to your workstations. Meeting officially adjourned. And work for real this time. People began to leave slowly, many with tears streaming down their faces, others firmly holding the hands of colleagues to keep from breaking down. Teresa remained in the corner with her cart, but her piercing eyes did not leave Leonard for a single second. He stood alone on the stage, picked up his cell phone, and casually started scrolling through social media, laughing at funny videos, completely indifferent, totally disconnected from the devastating emotional earthquake he had just caused in 250 lives. When the last employee finally left, Leonard descended from the stage. It was only then that he noticed Teresa's presence. You, he pointed his finger at her accusingly. The cleaner. You were here all this time listening, weren't you? Yes, sir. I was doing my cleaning job. And you kept listening to every word of this important meeting, didn't you? I was just working, sir. Leonard walked up to her with firm steps, completely invading her personal space in an obvious attempt to intimidate her. Do you really think you can understand anything at all, of what was discussed and decided here today? Teresa firmly gripped the mop handle, keeping her voice absolutely calm and controlled. No, sir, I don't understand these things. Exactly. Perfect. Because you are just a cleaner. You clean floors, empty trash cans, wash bathrooms. While I command entire companies, make decisions that involve millions of dollars, thousands of lives. Can you understand the colossal difference that exists between us two? I understood perfectly, sir. Great. And now listen to me very carefully. If I hear you commenting on anything, absolutely any detail of this meeting with anyone, no matter who it is, you will be cleaning the streets tomorrow morning. Is that absolutely and crystal clear? It's very clear, sir. Leonard smiled with full satisfaction. Perfect. Now get out of here immediately and clean this entire auditorium properly. It is completely filthy and disgusting. He left, leaving Teresa completely alone in the large, empty, and silent hall. She calmly looked around, the chairs all disorganized, the air still heavily charged with tension, fear, and sadness, Marcus's badge still lying on the floor, at the foot of the stage where the humiliation had taken place. Teresa slowly knelt down, picked up the badge with care and respect. Marcus had worked there for 15 long years. He grew within the company from an inexperienced junior analyst to a respected director by all, always dedicated, always honest, and was summarily fired for having the courage to defend his colleagues. She carefully put the badge in her uniform pocket. One more physical piece of evidence, one more powerful reason for what was to come. She picked up her cell phone and quickly typed a message to Sonia. It's time. Call an emergency board meeting. Tomorrow at 2 p.m. sharp. All 5 board members and the 3 main investors. Do not accept any excuses. Mandatory and urgent participation. Sonia's reply came in seconds. Are you absolutely sure about this? Teresa typed with firm fingers. I have never been so sure of anything in my entire life. Leonard just completely gave himself away. He dug his own deep grave. Now I just have to present all the proof I collected. She put away her phone, grabbed her cleaning cart, and walked down the corridor for the last time as the invisible cleaner. But this time, she definitely did not feel invisible. She felt incredibly powerful, prepared, absolutely certain of what she was doing. Because tomorrow Leonard Briggs would finally discover who really ran that company, and the lesson would be completely unforgettable. 3:47 a.m. Teresa was awake, sitting on her apartment balcony, looking at the city below that was slowly beginning to wake up. Doubt gnawed at her like acid. She had everything: the photos of the financial documents, the reports, the concrete numbers that did not lie, the willing witnesses. Tomorrow, technically today, would be the day, the decisive meeting, the final revelation, the confrontation that would change everything, but the fear was absolutely real and paralyzing. The apartment doorbell rang. Teresa jumped. Who would ring the doorbell at 4 a.m.? She looked through the peephole. It was Sonia, with an urgent expression. Sonia, what happened? Is everything okay? The woman quickly entered, her face visibly marked by deep concern. I am so sorry for the absurd hour, Teresa, but I absolutely needed to talk to you before today's meeting. Teresa silently poured coffee. The two sat at the kitchen table, the tension palpable between them. You need to cancel this meeting, Sonia said directly, without mincing words. What? Why? Because the situation is much worse than we initially imagined. Sonia opened a folder, spreading new documents on the table. After you called this meeting, I investigated more deeply. Teresa, Leonard has guaranteed support from 2 of the 5 board members. Teresa's stomach painfully clenched. How so? Robert Silver and Fernandez Light. I discovered that they invested personal money with Leonard in parallel businesses, completely separate from the company. They have a direct financial interest in keeping him in the position, in protecting him. But I have concrete and undeniable proof of administrative incompetence. And he will elegantly argue that numbers can always be interpreted in multiple different ways, that he is implementing necessary structural changes, that internal resistance is completely normal and expected in any deep transformation process. Sonia firmly held Teresa's hand. If you reveal yourself publicly today and lose the board vote, Leonard will strategically use your own disguise against you. He will publicly say that you are an unstable, paranoid owner, who does not minimally trust the very team she hired. Teresa abruptly stood up, walking to the window. Down below, the city was gradually coming to life, people waking up, preparing to work, to fight, to survive another day. So, what exactly are you suggesting I do? Cancel the meeting today, gain more strategic time, work behind the scenes to secure the necessary 3 votes before exposing yourself. It might take a few weeks, maybe even months, but it would be the safest path. Months? Teresa repeated, her voice heavy with emotional weight. Months watching those people suffer daily, months continuing to be invisible while everything gets worse. I know it is extremely difficult. No, Teresa interrupted, turning abruptly. You don't know. You didn't see Beatrice crying desperately in the restroom because she desperately needs this job to pay for her daughter's college. You didn't hear Paul sobbing because 15 whole years of dedicated work were publicly called useless garbage. You didn't witness Leonard completely destroy Marcus in front of 200 terrified people. Tears began to stream down Teresa's face. Every day that passes doing this, I die a little inside. Every humiliation I witness and cannot immediately prevent, every good person who suffers while I pretend to be invisible and incapable. But Teresa, if you try today and lose this critical vote. If I lose, at least I tried with all my strength. But if I don't try now, if I simply cowardly give up at this moment, how will I be able to look at myself in the mirror afterward? How will I look into the eyes of those people who are counting on me? Sonia sighed deeply. I understand your point, but think calmly. Your father built this entire company over 40 hard years. You could literally lose everything in a single miscalculated vote. Or I can save everything and everyone. Teresa wiped away her tears with anger. Cancel the meeting. You are right. It's the sensible thing to do. Sonia felt relieved, picked up the documents from the table, and left in silence. Teresa was completely alone in the empty room, the devastating weight of defeat unbearable. She had failed before she even truly tried. The phone rang, breaking the silence. Unknown number on the display. Hello, Ms. Teresa. This is Ryan, the IT intern. Sonia gave me your number. I'm very sorry for calling so early, but I figured out who you really are. Teresa's heart violently pounded. Ryan, listen, this is... I won't tell absolutely anyone. You can be completely at ease. But I urgently needed you to know one very important thing. His voice was incredibly sincere, filled with genuine emotion. What you are doing there, being present, seeing everything up close, feeling it firsthand, means infinitely more to all of us than you can ever imagine. Teresa remained in total silence, just listening. Yesterday, after that completely horrible meeting, when Leonard cruelly humiliated everyone and unjustly fired Marcus, I returned home absolutely destroyed inside. I honestly thought about giving up everything, resigning immediately, abandoning my entire career. Ryan paused emotionally. But then I vividly remembered you, the cleaner I saw cleaning the empty auditorium after everything, working with so much dignity, even being treated worse than everyone else there. And I thought to myself, if she can handle this, if she has all that strength, I can and should too. New tears filled Teresa's eyes. You don't know this, but you have become a real inspiration for many people. We talk among ourselves in the corridors, the cleaner who works with absolute dignity, despite everything. And when Sonia told me the truth about who you really are, it made even more profound sense. You actively chose to see our reality. You chose to feel it firsthand. You didn't have to do this, but you chose to anyway. But I am not managing to change absolutely anything, Ryan. I am completely failing. You are not, ma'am. Just by the simple fact of being present there, you already fundamentally change everything, because we are no longer alone in this fight. We know now that someone truly sees our pain. Someone who has the real power to do something significant afterward. He took a deep breath before continuing. I just really wanted to sincerely thank you and ask with all my heart, don't give up now. We desperately need someone to witness all of this, someone who truly understands. After hanging up the phone, Teresa stood still, tightly holding the device. Ryan was absolutely right. She looked longingly at the framed photo of her father on the table and finally understood clearly. Her father did not build that company alone from nothing. He built it together with real people. People who blindly trusted him, people who worked side by side with dedication. And it was exactly for those people that she had to keep fighting. She picked up her cell phone and quickly called Sonia. Don't cancel the meeting. Teresa, I just explained in detail all the enormous risks. I know perfectly well. I know I can lose everything, but I need to try for the employees, for myself, for my father's legacy. Silence on the other end. And if it goes completely wrong? Teresa looked out the window, the sun gloriously rising. A new day full of possibilities, a new chance to do the right thing. If it goes wrong, at least I will know that I was present until the very last second, that I did not cowardly run away, that I fought for what is right until the end. Your father would be immensely proud of you. I really hope so. Teresa took a quick shower, put on her blue cleaner's uniform for the last time, and walked out determined. There was no more doubt, no more paralyzing fear. Today she would stand there, fighting until the end. The 10th floor boardroom was impeccably prepared. Polished mahogany oval table, Italian leather chairs. An impressive panoramic view of the city. Teresa arrived precisely at 1 p.m., 1 hour before the scheduled time, dressed in her already familiar blue uniform, pushing the cleaning cart. No one would find her presence strange. After all, to everyone there, she was completely invisible. She began to methodically clean the huge windows. Her mind rehearsed every detail of the carefully elaborated plan. Sonia had confirmed that all 5 board members and the 3 main investors would be present. At 1:40 p.m., the first ones began to arrive. Dr. Albert Hayes, an experienced lawyer, a personal friend of Teresa's late father. Soon after, Patricia Guzman, a renowned financial consultant, Robert Silver and Fernandez Light, the 2 board members that Sonia had identified as Leonard's secret allies. And finally, Andrew Costa, the youngest board member, still completely undecided. Precisely at 1:55 p.m., Leonard entered with his usual confidence. Perfectly tailored navy blue suit. Vibrant red tie, expensive leather briefcase, absolute confidence overflowing from every pore. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for attending on such short notice. The summons came directly from the HR department, Dr. Hayes said with a suspicious tone. They said it was maximum emergency. Ah, yes, exactly. I asked Sonia to summon everyone. We urgently need to discuss the critical next steps of the ongoing restructuring. Teresa continued to clean calmly, completely invisible to everyone's eyes, but listening intently to every word spoken. Restructuring, Patricia leaned forward, interested. Leonard, the last quarter's numbers were genuinely worrying. Revenue fell an impressive 23% compared to the same period last year. Exactly for that specific reason we are gathered here today, Leonard confidently opened his briefcase, began to distribute carefully prepared documents. I developed an aggressive recovery plan, but it needs to be implemented with speed and determination. We are listening carefully, Andrew said politely. First strategic point, we will make a significant reduction in the workforce. I am proposing cuts in the order of 30% of the current personnel, completely strategic layoffs, eliminating all the accumulated fat. An extremely heavy silence fell over the room. 30%? Dr. Hayes slowly took off his glasses. Incredulous. Leonard, that represents more than 70 people, 70 entire families. 70 people who are demonstrably not delivering the minimum expected results. Based on exactly what objective criterion did you make that assessment? Based on my extensive professional experience and my detailed evaluation as the CEO responsible for this operation. Teresa was now cleaning the side table, her hands trembling slightly, but maintaining her composure, listening to every absurd word. Second point of the plan, Leonard continued without hesitation. We will aggressively renegotiate all current contracts with suppliers. The goal is to reduce operational costs by at least 40%. But, Leonard, Patricia contested carefully, our current suppliers are established business partners for many years. Many of them worked directly with George Montero from the beginning. With all due respect to the deceased, what her father did or did not do no longer matters for the present. The market has radically changed. Either we adapt quickly or we literally die. That's how it works. Be careful with your words about the founder of this company, Dr. Hayes warned with a grave and firm voice. It was at this tense moment that the door opened. Sonia entered, out of breath as if she had run. I am so sorry for the delay, but the official owner of the company specifically requested to participate in this meeting. Leonard laughed loudly, with obvious disdain. The owner, Teresa Montero, has been living abroad for years. She doesn't even know we are meeting today. Actually, Sonia said with absolute calm, she is here in this room, at this exact moment. All eyes turned confusedly to Sonia, general confusion spreading. Teresa, who was discreetly cleaning in the corner, carefully placed the rag aside, slowly took off her rubber gloves, and finally turned to face the table. What Sonia is saying is that I have been here in this room for exactly 15 minutes, listening to absolutely everything. Leonard instantly turned white as paper. The board member's eyes completely widened. Patricia put her hand over her mouth in shock. What? What the hell is this? Leonard visibly stammered. You are just the cleaner. I am. And I am also the owner and sole heir of this company, Teresa Montero. It is a pleasure to finally meet you in person, Leonard. The silence that followed was absolutely deafening. This is completely ridiculous, Leonard finally partially regained his voice. You disguised yourself as a cleaner. This is the behavior of a... Do you know what is truly sick, Leonard? It is what you have systematically done to this company and to the people who work here. And I desperately needed to see all of this with my own eyes. Dr. Hayes, Leonard desperately appealed to the oldest board member. Sir, you are clearly seeing this. She literally invaded her own company disguised. This is the behavior of someone completely mentally unbalanced. Actually, Dr. Hayes said thoughtfully, I would say it is the behavior of someone who genuinely wanted to know the naked and raw truth without filters. But she literally cleaned the floor for whole weeks, instead of simply calling me for a direct conversation. Does that make any logical sense to you? Yes, it does, Patricia said firmly, especially considering we just heard your absurd proposal to fire 30% of the employees without any transparent or fair criteria. I have very clear criteria. Leonard slammed his hand hard on the table. You simply don't understand the brutal pressure of leading. I understand perfectly, Teresa said with an absolutely calm voice. And I also understand that you systematically humiliate young interns, violently yell at competent managers, tear up previously approved contracts, and purposefully step on freshly cleaned floors just to demonstrate personal power. Those are grotesque exaggerations, completely distorted interpretations. I saw it personally, Leonard. I was present there every single time. Leonard finally realized the catastrophic extent of what he had done. Every gratuitous humiliation, every cruel, unnecessary word, every abuse of power. She had witnessed absolutely everything. You cannot legally use any of that against me. That is information obtained in a completely unethical manner. Do you know what is genuinely unethical? It is treating human beings as disposable garbage, Mr. Briggs. Andrew finally spoke for the first time. Is it true that you summarily fired Director Marcus yesterday? He was completely insubordinate. He questioned my decisions in front of everyone. He questioned them precisely because your decisions were objectively wrong, Teresa said. And financial numbers conclusively prove that. Sonia began distributing thick folders to everyone sitting at the table. Inside, all the documents, all the numbers, all the meticulously collected proof. Documented 23% drop in revenue. 3 major clients lost, Almeida, Petrocorp, Silva and Brothers. Operational costs increased 40% without any justification. And here, Teresa pointed to specific pages, your personal expenses being illegally paid by the company, luxury restaurants, private travel, a very expensive imported car. Those are completely normal benefits for any CEO. Not when they are not expressly and clearly provided for in the contract, Dr. Hayes said gravely, flipping through the documents with attention. Leonard, this is extremely serious from a legal standpoint. Are you really going to believe her? Leonard looked desperately at Robert and Fernandez. You perfectly know my work, you know my proven competence. The issue here is not just technical competence, Patricia said firmly. It is fundamentally about personal character. And from what I see documented here, you have neither. This is absolutely ridiculous. Leonard finally exploded. Are you going to judge me because I was firm with incompetent employees, because I demanded concrete results? Because I tried to save this company? You did not try to save absolutely anything, Teresa said, her voice still calm, but firm. You merely fed your inflated personal ego, and in the process, you systematically destroyed good people. People? Leonard laughed with desperate bitterness. You cleaned the floor for weeks and now you think you're the great defender of the oppressed. Where exactly were you when your father was alive? Living your comfortable life abroad, and now you want to come here and put on cheap theater. I was building other important family businesses, and you are right. I should have paid more attention here. I should have come to check earlier. That mistake is entirely mine. But now I am here, and I will meticulously fix everything you broke. Leonard looked desperately around the table. All the faces, previously neutral, now displayed clear disapproval. I formally demand a vote. According to my legal contract, I can only be removed with an absolute majority of the board. Then let's vote, Dr. Hayes said solemnly, all those in favor of the immediate removal of Leonard Briggs from the position of CEO. One by one, hands went up. Dr. Hayes, Patricia, Andrew. Even Robert and Fernandez, after visibly hesitating, raised their hands. 5 votes. Absolute unanimity. Leonard stood up, his entire body trembling with rage. He looked at Teresa with pure hatred. You will bitterly regret this. You have no idea how to run a company. You're right. I don't know everything. I will make mistakes. But I know one fundamental thing you never knew: people are not disposable, and respect is not weakness. Leonard grabbed his briefcase, walked to the door, stopped, and turned one last time. That cleaner. It was you the whole time. I stepped on the floor you cleaned. I told you to shut up. You showed exactly who you really are, and now everyone knows. Leonard slammed the door violently. Silence for long seconds. Welcome back, Teresa. Your father would be immensely proud, Dr. Hayes said with sincerity. Teresa was too emotional to speak. Justice. Finally, justice. Summon everyone now. Auditorium, Teresa said determinedly. 30 minutes later, the auditorium filled up again. Confusion, rampant speculation. Leonard had left furiously, throwing his badge on the lobby floor. Teresa walked onto the stage, a business blouse over her blue uniform pants underneath. My name is Teresa Montero. I am the owner of this company. Murmurs spread. But you know me as Teresa Silva. The cleaner. Absolute silence. One by one, they realized. Ryan's eyes widened. Julianne covered her mouth. Beatrice began to cry. 3 weeks undercover. Why? Because I received serious complaints and needed to see with my own eyes. She walked across the stage. I saw Leonard humiliate Ryan, yell at Beatrice, tear up contracts, everything. An emotional pause. But I also saw you, your strength, your loyalty. Leonard was removed an hour ago. Unanimous vote. Applause erupted. Everyone stood up. From now on, bonuses are back. Real communication channels. And no one will ever be treated as small here again. The door opened. Marcus entered. I want to come back, if you'll have me. Of course I will. A hug on stage. Applause. Employees came down. Ryan hugged her. You changed everything. Beatrice also. Thank you. Paul shook her hand. Thank you. When she was alone, she took off the uniform pants, folded them. Sonia appeared. How are you? Exhausted, scared. You will manage because you saw? You felt? I will keep this uniform so I never forget that no one is invisible. They left together. Clear night. A company breathed again. 3 months later. Teresa greeted everyone by name. A completely different energy. Ryan, I finished the system. Excellent. Present it to the board tomorrow. His eyes sparkled. Now he would present projects. Marcus showed the numbers. Revenue is up 18%. We recovered 2 clients. Turnover fell 65%. Teamwork. A letter arrived from Leonard. Teresa, you were right. I confused leadership with domination. I am in therapy. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that you stopped me before I destroyed everything. Thank you, Leonard. Teresa folded it. It wasn't about forgiving, it was about moving on. At the quarterly meeting, employees suggested improvements: a rest area, mentorship, flexibility. All approved. Marcus announced as the new director of people and culture. Applause. Teresa went to the storage room, opened the locker. The blue uniform was stored. She touched the fabric, remembered the pain, but also the people. I will never forget. In the lobby, Ms. Mary, the new cleaner. How is work? Great, Ms. Teresa, everyone is respectful. If anyone isn't, come see me. You are different. That night she looked at her father's photo. I did it, Dad. The phone rang. Ryan. I received an offer. They pay 30% more. Are you going to accept? No, because there they have better pay, but here there is respect, and that is priceless. Tears. Thank you, Ryan. The next day, a plaque at the entrance. Here every role has dignity. Every human being has value. Respect is not dependent on rank. Montero and Associates. Below, in memory of George Montero, who taught us that companies are made of people. Teresa touched the plaque. She walked in not as an absent owner, not as an invisible cleaner, but as a present leader, who sees, who hears, who respects. In the end, it wasn't about titles, it was about humanity. It always was. How many times has someone been treated as invisible just for wearing a simple uniform? This story is a reminder that respect does not depend on rank, but on character. If this turnaround touched you, please give this video a like to strengthen this message and comment below what respect means to you at work. Your opinion can inspire someone who needs to hear this today. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more stories that remind us that humanity is the greatest value in any company.